thank you for staying with us. Tonight's personality profiles Anas Aremeyaw, Anas, a man I believe everybody wants to know about. Anas, in Sierra Leone, the story centered around the vice president. Did you meet him?
Yes, I did meet the vice president of Sierra Leone, and this was it. There were men in his office who could do that connection. In fact, the night I arrived in Sierra Leone, we had one of the vice president's men called Momo Conte, who came to my hotel, and we had, of course, after other discussions we had whilst I was in Kenya, and told us what it took to ensure that I could see the vice president. It was quite tricky, because we all know what it takes to go to our castle here, the kind of searches that you are going, and I was getting in there to film. So I needed to select a gadget that no matter what metal you use, you cannot detect. So that was quite a trying moment. Okay. But Momo finished it, and the next morning we're sitting in front of the vice president. I was shocked, because I know that it's not that easy to see my vice president that way. You need to book an appointment. But you know, money talks, because we indeed could prove that we had a lot of money and wanted to do. Now, whether the vice president knew what was happening or not, I don't want to get into it. The sequences in the film itself will tell. Okay. But Momo took us there. He handed us to one Alex Mansori, who took us to the vice president. We spoke to him. The vice president said he was going to look into it. That the story was all about some timber that was banned. It was not supposed to be taken out of Sierra Leone. And we wanted to get an opportunity if we could pay to get those timber. The vice president said he was going to look into it. Now his man came back to tell us that, yeah, the vice president had seen it. Yes, he was happy. He wanted $100,000. 50,000 will go to him personally, and then 50,000 will go to his men. And all those are on camera. I mean, there's no two ways about that. Right. Again, as to whether the vice president said it or not, that's also another issue. So
it's one of his men who said so.
Exactly. But the fact is that we indeed met the vice president and he made a pronouncement that he will look into it at the time that the product was banned. Now, whether the vice president knew that it was banned at that time or not, I don't know. But I certainly know that my vice president, if anything is banned in this country, he knows. And so if you perhaps went to him, he would tell you straight ahead that it's banned. Let me assume that perhaps it was not known. So that's how timber rolled. But timber came with its difficulties. Now, at a particular stage, Momo Conte said that we are going to form a company. 60% will go to my Lebanese friend. I will have 5% because I'm a facilitator from Ghana. Then the rest of the 35% was going to be for him, and then the vice president. So he decided that we should sign the papers. He made us pay a registration fee of $2,000 in his office, which we did, and then we started signing the paper. That was where the drama is, because you see, you deal with Al Jazeera and you are talking about evidence and not hardcore evidence. So we started signing the papers. Now you know that registering a company, you need some 4 documents that you need to sign. So when we signed the papers, I thought that I didn't have any evidence to prove that the signing had taken place. So when Momo turned, I picked one of the documents, opened my back, as it is in my back, and then placed it there.
In your shirt?
In my shirt, yes.
That was risky. Then in the vice president's office?
No, that was in Conte's.
In Conte's
yes,
office.
Conte has a separate office from the VIP. You know, so
but that's still close.
Not in Freetown.
In Freetown,
yeah, all in Freetown.
All right.
Then all of a sudden, Conte started looking for his document, because it's supposed to be a very tight thing. Nobody is supposed to be aware of it, and all of a sudden one was missing. Immediately I told Conte that, look, we needed to go to lunch, because the whole morning we've been sitting here, you must act like a businessman. And so we wanted to go. Then we left.
So you stole the document?
Well, I can't call that stealing. I touched the document. Well, you can define it the way you want to define it, but I touched it. Don't forget, all of us were signatories to the document.
So you were also a part owner to the document?
Yes, of course. So I took it, and then that's where you have to praise Al Jazeera. Within a twinkle of an eye, there was a ferry waiting for me to get into it, for it to take me to Lungi Airport. And my brother, when I got on the ferry, I had 20 missed calls from the vice president man. Now they were angry. They were looking for the document because whatever it was not good.
And at that time, the document was still in your shed?
Yes, at that time, the vice president was the acting president.
Okay.
So I got a call from our backup teams that, look, it doesn't look good. Whatever it is, leave everything, get out of Sierra Leone immediately because they are seriously looking for you.
So they wanted you to end the operation?
Oh, of course, the operation had ended once you got the evidence.
Okay,
you are gone. But how you can leave Sierra Leone with that evidence was the issue. So we get into Lungi and I check in, and Kenya always says technicalities, and so we should hold on for a while. My brother, it was not easy, and my counterpart is not. He can't sit down, and I'm like, just relax, just relax. We are there. We see a car come and full of military guys. They get out, whether they were looking for us or not. But I mean, that had its own story. They went around looking around, asking people questions. We're lucky. Went through all the security checks. We got into the plane. We're now in the plane, and this lady, usually you know what happens in the aircraft, security checks and all that. Then she comes to announce that, oh, there's a little security problem, so they have to sort it out.
While you're on the plane.
But this time we don't sit because you know what you have done. There was no sitting for the two of us. We're just looking down. And she came back after 5 minutes. Oh, thank God, everything has been sorted out. And
I wish I could take your temperature at that time.
It wasn't easy. You know, when the plane wants to, it was normal speed. After it took off, then I realized that it was normal speed. But at that time, I thought the plane was not moving. It was crawling. Then all of a sudden, the plane took off like that, my brother. Then we could not all sit down. I mean, sit down means that relax.
I know what you mean.
That we were up the skies. That time I was sure that no matter what the vice president and his men do, we were not going to come back to Sierra Leone. Wow. So it was quite interesting. A lot of adrenaline. But I'm happy we pulled through in Sierra Leone.
Will you go back to Sierra Leone?
Oh, sure. Sure. Of course, under a different disguise, different name. We can always work there. That's what keeps us going.
I'm sure you can, because you look extremely different from the last time you were on this program.
That's the spirit.
And so I'm still having a difficulty putting the two faces together. So I'm sure that works. I'm sure that works. But let's talk about Tanzania. Because I'm told from Sierra Leone, you didn't come back home.
I wanted to. Okay. But I was called by duty. I had to go to Tanzania. And here, I must say, I was very happy working in Tanzania because of the issue. It was a human rights issue.
Okay.
Now, within 2 weeks of our arrival in Tanzania, 2 albino limbs had been chopped off.
Why did they chop off albino limbs?
Because they believe that it has supernatural powers. And that if a politician had an arm or a bone of an albino, he could even get into a ballot box and change his fortunes.
I see.
Miners also believe that if you drop the hand or the leg or the head of an albino in the mine, you could quadruple your earnings. So you can see how important. And in the case of Adam, it was his own father who sold his arm. And they came and chopped off his arm in front of the dad. So you can see that when I was in Tanzania, I was not a happy man. I just told myself whatever it was, I needed to uncover the story. And Tanzania worked out perfect.
Adam's father sold Adam's arm for it to be chopped before his very eyes.
Preliminary investigation from the police in Tanzania, Geita to be precise, said so. And so the father was immediately arrested. So what game did I play in Tanzania? It was quite interesting. But let me show you this. This is how I ended up in Tanzania, you know. Look at this.
This is real?
Yes.
Real?
This is what I used in the investigation in Tanzania. This is a prosthetic arm.
Okay.
Yes, and it was built in London.
Okay.
Specially built by Al Jazeera to help us go through this undercover operation.
Okay.
And it worked so well, my brother. It worked well.
How did it work well? We'll take a quick commercial break. We will be right back to talk about the prosthesis here before me. Don't go away.